Okay, we like to eat. One of the most popular activities around the congregation is after meals, meals after services. We all enjoy lunch with our coffee. Seems like coffee demands something with it, and even when we go out for coffee, it's nice to have a donut or a muffin or a cookie with that coffee. As we think about food for a bit, I'm wondering, what are some of your favorites? What are your favorite beverages, or bread, or meals? Most importantly, what are your favorite desserts? I like a great cup of coffee. I like warm cinnamon bread. For a meal, I really enjoy great lasagna or tacos when Tanya makes them. And for dessert, above all others, I enjoy Tanya's German chocolate cake, or banana pudding was really good too. I'd like you to consider the perfect meal, and it is not what any of us have suggested. It's not even what I have suggested here today. In 1 Peter 2, verse 2, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. Yahweh's word is the perfect beverage. We're told it holds the milk we need. In Matthew 4, verse 4, but he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Elohim. Yahweh's word is the finest of bread. It's better than manna, which was referred to as angel's food and was apparently as sweet as crystalline honey. In 1 Corinthians 3, verse 2, I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hereto you were not able to bear it, neither you nor are you neither now are you able. Yahweh's word is the meat we need to seek. It's the finest of meats. I grew up with meat, and I'm surely do enjoy a good beef meal or a good chicken meal. As a special meal, I would enjoy beef steak, and one meal I really enjoy is the Tanya's chicken dish called curry chicken with rice. Now, that is really good too. Now think about the changes that begins in the mind. When we think differently, when we feel differently, and then we act differently. To begin to think differently, we have to put different thoughts and different information in our minds. In Acts 14:17, nevertheless he left not himself without witness, in that he did good and gave us rain from heaven and fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness. Acts 17:11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. In Romans 12, verse 2, and be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh. And in Ephesians 4:23, and be you renewed in the spirit of your mind. Notice how powerful Yahweh's word is. It gives us everything we need. Transformation takes place in our minds as we put Yahweh's word there. As we fill ourselves with the word, we change. Sometimes we change. That change is ever so slow. But sometimes we make a monumental change in a short time. Sometimes simply changing the way we look at something can make all the difference. And we're like new people. We need to feed richly on the word, to drink it, to eat it, and enjoy it. So let's continue to think about the process of having a meal. since we've been seen that the word of Yahweh constitutes a perfect meal. If someone is going to prepare a meal, if you're going to prepare a meal, you have to know that someone wants that meal. There's no point in making a meal if no one wants to eat it, right? If I'm home by myself, I don't make a meal. Most of the time I can rummage through the fridge and have some leftovers or heat them up, or even a sandwich or two while I'm wandering around the kitchen or the house. Or I can, just looking around. Yeshua is preparing a meal. Whenever we come to him, he is preparing something special for us. He urges us to stay around and enjoy the meal. In John 8:31, then said Yeshua to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed. This is what staying around for the meal is called: abiding, waiting, anticipating, preparing to enjoy it. This is what feeding richly and fully on the word is all about. Yeshua calls us on to want the wonderful meal that he will provide. We show him that we want this special meal through 3 actions. We accept the idea that this is a good meal for us. For me, the believer, we believe that this is the best meal available, or the best meal that we could possibly have at this time. In 2 Timothy 3:16, all scripture is given by inspiration of Yahweh and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. This says something special about the word that we here seen in his perfect beverage, the bread, the meal, the dessert. When we accept this meal and when we think about the word, we are accepting its authority in life. We all have a way we use to judge everything. Often people use themselves as the judge. Some use society as the judge. This is what polling is all about, especially when the leadership policies are set because of certain polling results. From what I can see, to use society's polling results is very imperfect authorities. The word of Yahweh is a trustworthy authority. It is one that is timeless and is above me and is above society. So this is the standard I want to use. And I want to show Yeshua that I accept the meal he gives me from it. The matter of authority of the Bible, of one source for Yahweh's written revelation, is not as easy, therefore, for some as for others. Those we minister to often won't accept the Bible as easily as we might. Doing the work of the gospel becomes a much longer and more difficult process involving establishing long-term personal relationships. One authority in our lives is good and a must, and I believe that authority is Yahweh, as he reveals himself in the Word. People can be quite put off by the hypocrisy and contradictions they see in people of the Word, the believers. People are people. Don't forget that. We are inconsistent. We are struggling. We are selfish people. Please don't tar Yahweh with that brush. He is consistent and cares for you as if you're the only person on earth. You can understand, I think, how having yourself or society as an authority can have you whipped and ripped around from day to day and can be very uncomfortable. In Proverbs 14:12, there is a way which seems right unto a man, but the end thereof is the ways of death. And again in Proverbs 16:25, there is a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. The word is an authority you can accept and align life to that won't let you down. Don't accept me as an authority. Don't accept the congregation as an authority. Accept the Word as you learn that the Word and it is accurately taught to you by myself or the congregation. Always look beyond people to Yahweh and Yeshua. But please, do look towards Yahweh. To have a meal, you have to accept this meal. Then, that the one preparing it is doing a good job for you and is giving you the best meal you can have at a particular time. And when you have a good meal, it's important to take time to eat it and enjoy the meal. Eat and run isn't good for us with our physical food, and it isn't good for us with our spiritual food. It takes time, as we know, to chew and to allow what we eat to begin to digest. So lingering over a meal is a wonderful thing to do. I know it's not always possible, but when we have a good meal, it is an excellent idea to take time. We know there are proven health benefits to that, and that detriments to the grab and run approach to eating. In Luke 8, verse 8, and other fell on good ground and sprang up and bare fruit 100-fold. And when he had said these things, he cried, "He that has ears to hear, let him hear." We're to be careful how we listen. Although I'm discussing today the context of physical food, we know that Yahweh's word, to assimilate it, requires time to listen to it, even as it takes time to assimilate physical food. Proverbs that tells us to watch how we think. Proverbs 12:5, the thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsel of the wicked are deceit. Proverbs 15:26, the thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to Yahweh, but the words of the pure are pleasant words. Proverbs 16:3, commit thy works unto Yahweh, and thy thoughts shall be established. And now Yeshua tells us to watch how we listen. Luke 8, verse 18, take heed therefore how you hear, for whosoever has, to him shall be given. Whosoever has not, from him shall be taken even that which he seems to have. Yahweh gets very personal. It's important though. How do we digest food? We are not to eat too close to bedtime. We not exercise immediately after eating, and the like. There are rules to good digestion of a good meal. So there are rules to good spiritual digestion. In James chapter 1, verse 21, wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity and naughtiness, and receive with meekness the ingrafted or implanted word, which is able to save your souls. We need to humbly be glad for the wonderful message we have received. We are to be openly and thankfully receive the meal Yeshua prepares for us. We need benefit from any meal. We can benefit from any biblical teacher, even a teacher that is boring. You cannot shut off or not learn. You can learn something from anyone. We know that it takes time to dine. There is a difference between eating and dining. And when we might take 2 or 3 hours over a meal, it's wonderful. Not something we can do each meal, but wonderful when we go out and we can take time. How can you assimilate the meal Yeshua prepares for you? Take time to read each day. Do you know that if you read the Word only 15 minutes a day, you can read the entire Bible through in a year? If you double that and drop just one 30-minute television program, you can read twice in a year. We all watch far too much television, so that's something to consider. Take time to read. In addition, you can get devotional guides at many places and use that for some directed reading and thinking. You can think over what you have just read, or a portion of what you have just read, and that's called meditation. And it can even lead you to memorize some verses that you could carry with you in your heart and mind throughout the day. The important thing to remember is that it takes some time to enjoy a good meal and to begin proper digestion. Allow Yeshua time to nourish you each day. Then after a meal, you need to use the food that you have. It feeds your body, gives you energy, muscle, and other body components to enable you to do things. You don't eat simply to be alive. You eat because you want to be able to do things. In James 1:22, but be you doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. To simply hear is not enough. We are to be doers. Let the word have its effect in your life. You are not just here or just to study, but you are here to do as well. Yeshua declared this in Matthew 7:24. Therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man which built his house upon a rock. If you do, then you are building your house on the rock of Yeshua Messiah. In your doing, the first doing is to apply what you read to yourself. Sometimes this is very painful, but it is the place to begin. For instance, we see, you watch how you think. You mean me? Yes, you. How? Think about it and do it. You watch how you hear. You mean me? Yes, you. How? Think about it and do it. Be personal. As hard as it might be, this leads to growing. In addition, believers need believers to help them grow. Our belief is all about community. The entire gospel is about community. Build the family of Yahweh. We need small groups to study of the Bible, care and prayer and encouragement. Groups can be a wonderful help to your growing from the food Yeshua gives you. In them, you can understand better what you're supposed to do with what you've received. Thank you, Joe, for your service in your classrooms, helping with that. Having thought about food and Yahweh's word for our growth, where does it leave us today? How do you feel about the Bible, the word of Yahweh? Do you look forward to it as much as to a wonderful special meal? Or even as much as a nice Saturday evening meal with friends? What one action will you take this week to increase the amount of word you take in? Maybe you'll commit to reading the Bible in the morning, or reading 15 minutes a day, and reading the whole Bible in a year. What one action? Take a few moments to think about it. In Matthew 4:4, but he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh. In Luke 4:4, and Yeshua answered him, saying, it is written, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of Yahweh. Now we go to Deuteronomy, the Old Testament, chapter 8, verse 3. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna from which thou knowest not. Neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man does not live by bread alone only, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh does man live. Yahweh and Yeshua are the finest chefs. He has only the finest meals to offer you day in and day out. It's hard to be creative. It's hard for those who cook in our homes to always have excellent meals, but they do. Yahweh and Yeshua are even better. Look forward to the meals he will offer you. Look forward to growing. I hope you're hungry. Yahweh bless. And we are going to finish off with 96 yielded to you.